Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
YouTube family, what's good with you? It's your boy 2A and LA, and as always, fam, anything I say in this episode, prior episodes, and future episodes is just my personal opinion. Don't take it as fact. Don't take it as law. Always do your own homework and come up with your own conclusions. Right about now, fam, I should go ahead and tap that like button for your boy. If you're new to the channel, I want to say welcome. Come on in. You can join the congregation by smashing that subscribe button and requesting all post notifications. And if you are an existing supporter of this channel, bam! I appreciate you more than you can possibly imagine. You are the reason this channel is anything. Alright fam, before we get this episode rolling, just a couple of disclaimers. I do not sell firearms, nor do I promote the sale of firearms or accessories or anything that would constitute a violation of YouTube community guidelines. Any reviews that I do on firearms or accessories are just that. They are for review purposes only. And if I reference the gun manufacturer or the company that happened to supply the product, I am just referencing that for disclosure purposes. All right? Now, fam, look. If you are not a member of the 2A in LA fam club, I do not know what you are doing at this point in time. As a member of the fan club, you receive unreleased content. You will receive content early. You become automatically eligible for all the giveaways that we do in our bi-weekly live streams, fam. Look. I believe I offer some of the best giveaway opportunities on YouTube. So make sure you're a member of the fam club. It's only $2.99 a month. Just click on that join button down below. And if you are interested in any of the 2A in LA merchandise, just hit that QR code in the corner. You see it. You see it right there. That will take you to the 2A in LA channel. Also, you can sign up to participate in a lot of our giveaways there. So make sure you hit that QR code. All right, that's it. Now let's get back into the episode. All right, fam, let's get this episode rolling. So we got a good one, fam. We have a good one for you today. If you guys have watched the channel, you guys know that I had seen some initial footage about Fusion Firearms and the XP Pro kind of leading into SHOT Show last year. And then I went to SHOT Show last year and got to hang around with Bob and his son, got to handle the XP Pro myself. And I was like, oh, this is a great budget firearm option. All metal gun, good machining, you know, seemed really well put together. A few things that I would probably have changed on it, but I thought for the price point, this was a better than solid offering. And consequently, I went out and purchased my own XP Pro. Now, once I got it, I did a review on it, and out of the box, the gun scored a 77. And you guys know, I say all the time, if you score kind of a 70 to 80, that gun is a better than solid gun. That gun has some really good features. It's well constructed. there are multiple things about that gun that kind of make it stand out from others in a crowd. Well, then I sent the gun back to my guy Skip at Skip's Guns, and Skip's did a few things. He deleted the grip safety for me. He finally tuned the trigger. He did a recoil reduction, and then he ported it with the 4 Portsman. And now this gun shoots like nobody's business. Crazy flat, crazy fast, you know, all the things. All the things. And so my XP Pro is not for play. So shortly after I did that review, I had talked to Fusion, and Fusion was like, hey, you know, we got a comp version that's going to be coming out soon. We're going to get one of those in your hands, right? And I was like, oh, okay, bet. Can't wait for the comp version to come out. And so, long story short, fast forward, I got one coming, certainly, from Fusion, and more on that to come in future videos. But in the interim, they started to ship. 2A Zone was able to get me this bad boy out for review. And so shout out to 2A Zone for providing the Fusion XP Pro comp model. Now, there are some differences between the comp model and the original XP Pro. And I'm going to do a video kind of comparing my ported XP Pro and the comp XP Pro head to head. This one we're just going to be reviewing the comp version of the XP Pro. Now, when I did, as I mentioned before, when I did the XP Pro out of the box before Skip did anything to it, the gun rated a 77. After the upgrades that Skip did to it, my recollection is correct. I think the gun ranked an 81, but I'll put up the score there so you can see what the improved XP Pro post Skip's upgrades was. Now, let's dive into what this XP Pro comp is out of the box. Quick reminder, if you haven't seen a 2A NLA review, it goes kind of like this. 0, worst gun in the history of the world. 100, the best gun in the history of the world. Never had a 0, never had a 100. 1 can always hold out hope. Typically speaking, if you got something that's kind of 50 to 60, that is a right down the middle gun. Gonna go bang every time. Very reliable, relatively accurate, just doesn't have a lot of feels and thrills. If you got something 60 to 70, okay, that gun is one step beyond the mean. Maybe it has a quality or two about it, a feature or two about it, something about it make it stand out, right? If you got something kind of 70 to 80, okay, now you've got a gun that's relatively feature rich, very good shooter, goes beyond just reliability and a feature or two, has some really high qualities about it. If you got something kind of 80 to 89, okay, now you're talking about kind of a best-in-class gun, especially if it's 85 to 89. And if you've got something that's 90 or above, that's grill gun status. All right, let's start off with fit and finish. Look, I'll put the specs up there so you guys can check it out. This gun has been, it has some minor tweaks to it that the other gun didn't have. We'll get into this more when I talk about the ergonomics of the gun, but one of the things I loved about the original XP Pro is that out of the box it came with a metal grip. One of the complaints about the metal grip though was that there wasn't a lot of texture to it, right? That it was a little bit slippery. They've addressed this now. This gun has way more texture, feels good. So, but point is, you get all metal gun now with an aluminum grip, so that is phenomenal. This gun has a polished chrome finish. It is CNC'd from bar stock, so it's very durable. One of the things that I've always kind of given the XP Pro a lot of credit for was that I thought it was very well machined, very well sprung, very smooth. That hasn't changed with this model. Now, let's not get carried away. Is it Venom smooth? No, of course not. Is it Rafferty smooth? No. Is it Atlas smooth? No. But it's not meant to be that. I would say though, for this price point, there aren't very many guns that are made this well. And so look, fit and finish, I think they did a really good job. I would also add, to me, the serration pattern has changed. One of the complaints that I had on the XP Pro was that the serrations were not as pronounced as they should be. If you look at them now, you can see that they're a little bit deeper than the XP Pro version was, a little bit more grippy. You can really gain a hold to it. So again, I think that's well done. Of course, you've got that compensator on the front end. It is, and we'll get into this more when we talk about shootability, but look, I've seen people do comps, factory comps, at different levels of success. Sometimes I feel like people put a big comp on the front with a little small slit, and it's not maximizing what the comp is capable of. Like I said, we'll dive into it a little bit more when we talk about shootability, but I think the gun is very well done, particularly for the price point. Fit and finish, we're going to give this gun a 12 out of a possible 15. All right, fam, next up, reliability. I've got a ton of rounds through my XP Pro, put a ton of rounds through this one as well. I found these guns to be very, very reliable. When guns start getting ported, when guns start getting comped, there's always a concern, let alone when they're hybrid, when they're both ported and comped. I find them to start to get more ammo sensitive. How the gun is tuned and sprung starts to come into play a lot more than when that's not the case and you just got a heavy spring weight in there. So I was impressed with the reliability of the gun. With all the rounds that I have through my XP Pro and all the rounds that I put through this one, let's just call that 2,500 to 3,000 rounds combined. I may have had a malfunction or two, nothing obviously catastrophic or whatever, but I would say that is very, very good, especially for two guns that are coming out of the box without being broken in. I've ran 115 grain, 124 grain, 147 grain, some jackal to hollow points through both of them without any issues. So for reliability, it's really, really good. We're going to give it a 13 out of a possible 15. All right, next up, durability. Like I said, fam, steel frame, steel side, 70-75 aluminum grip. It's got a polished chrome plating that prevents corrosion. 4.6 inch barrel. Look, fam, the gun is weighted really well. I feel like it's very, very well done. You know, I prefer a DLC coating. I probably prefer a PVD coating, just myself. But I think the look of the gun is great. Certainly the finish on my XP Pro, I've had it now well over a year. Probably a couple thousand rounds through it, something like that. And everything seems to be holding up really, really, really well. And so, impressive. For durability, we're going to give it a 13 out of a possible 15. All right, fam. Next up, triggers. I'm a trigger snob, self-admitted. It is what it is. We all have our burdens to bear, and I am a trigger snob. And so, when the original trigger came in, I thought it would, with my XP Pro, I thought it was a solid trigger, right? Skip did what Skip does, redid it. I upgraded. I then had to upgrade the trigger score on that one because that is pulling probably about 2.1 pounds, right? I'll put the trigger weight up here, but let me just let you see it. A little take up, not a lot. Clear defined wall. Crisp clean break. Reset. Short reset. So better than solid trigger. And I feel like out of the box, this trigger feels lighter. If I had to guess, I'd say it's pulling right around 3 pounds. But again, I'll put the trigger weight up there. I feel like my XP Pro, when I first got it, was probably pulling closer to 4 than 3. So I feel like, I don't know, I haven't talked to Bob or Trevin about this. I don't know if they've made any changes relative to the trigger, but it feels better. It could, sometimes it's just they've made more, they've got it grooved. I probably had an early version of it, so if they haven't made any changes, my guess is that that's the difference in the two, but trigger feels better. It doesn't feel as good as my XP Pro that Skip redid, but still, really, really good. Trigger, we're going to give it a 13 out of a possible 15. All right, fam. Next up, accuracy. So look, you got an improved trigger. You got an all-metal gun. It's compensated. It's well machined. It's got a 4.6-inch barrel. It should be accurate, and I found it to be. Now, when I talk about accuracy, I'm not just talking about barrel accuracy. That's fine. You can sit a gun in a rest and, go out 15, 20 yards and do slow trigger pulls, but that's not how we shoot, right? And so I'm looking at, yes, barrel accuracy to a certain degree, but more so shootability. How does the gun shoot when you're firing it, right? Does the gun stay flat? Does the dot stay in the window? When you're shooting at higher rates of speed, is it easy to keep the gun on target? How much input does it require from you from a grip pressure perspective to keep that gun shooting flat? All those things come into play. I found the gun to be accurate. I thought it was well done. For accuracy, we're going to give it a 9 out of a possible 10. All right, next up, ergonomics. So look, fam, as you guys know, the XP Pro and the XP Pro Comp takes Glock magazines. Consequently, their grip angles are always a little different than a typical 2011. I have just gotten accustomed to shooting a typical 2011, and so I prefer that grip angle a little bit more. I'd mentioned earlier though that they upgraded the texture on this grip. The other thing they did, there were a couple of hot spots on the gun, especially depending on how you gripped. Like the slide stop on the original gun was kind of a hot spot depending on how your grip was. Here's what I love about Fusion. They really listen to the customer. Little small details make all the difference between an ad gun and a good gun, right? And they listen and they correct over time. I feel like every gun is a little bit better than the last, and every new drop is a little bit more refined and better than the last. I can only imagine the kind of guns they're going to be producing 2-3 years from now. Probably going to be off the charts good. And so I like the ergonomics of the gun. I feel like it's very well done. I feel like it's balanced really well. I already talked about how easy it is to shoot. I think they did a really, really good job on the ergonomics. Even though I'm not a huge fan of the grip angle, we're going to give it an 8 out of a possible 10 for ergonomic. All right, these next two categories, we're going to lump them together. Aftermarket support, maintenance, and upkeep. Well, it's part Glock, part 2011, right? So Glock mags are readily available. So that part, you've got a ton of aftermarket support for. As you can see, I've got that Terran Tactical base pad on here. So that's proof positive of that. The 2011 market is growing and growing and growing. So a lot of people are out there working on 2011 style pistols. Aftermarket support, we're going to give it a 4. Relative to maintenance and upkeep, it's a 2011 for all intents and purposes. Got to break it down every 1,000 rounds, 1,500 rounds or so. Keep it clean, keep it oiled. It will run without issues, as mine have so far. So maintenance and upkeep, we're also going to give it a 4 in both categories. All right, fam. Next up, affordability. Look, I'll go ahead and I'll put the MSRP up there. Look, for a really well compensated gun that's balanced like this, that has really good accuracy, shootability, reliability, I think the gun is very, very price friendly. I think this is a gun that most people, given some time, will be able to afford. And I think, kudos to Fusion Firearms for finding a way to bring a gun of this quality to the market at that price point, right? So I think the gun is very, very affordable. For affordability, we're going to give it a 4 out of a possible 5. Last but not least, flex. Is Instagram gonna go crazy, or your boy's gonna be like, damn? Look, fam, here's what I would say. I love the look of the gun. I think it's a very attractive looking gun, and they have, again, credit to Fusion Firearms for trying to bring things to the customers that we really want. This thing comes in a variety of different colorways. They've got a Damascus look, they've got camo, they've got other solid colors, they've got all black if that's your jam too. I love how they don't just give you a gun, but they bring variety to it. And so kudos to them from that. I think the gun is flexy, definitely for the price point. And you know, when these things get out, you know, in customers' hands, they're gonna hook up with the Skips guns and the Vulcans and the Monsoons and the TDS, and they're gonna be even crazier, right? But loving the flex. For flex, we're gonna give it a 2 out of a possible 5. All right, fam. When you add all of that up, you get an 83 out of a possible 100. Look, fam, I told you, you get some 80 to 89, specifically 85 to 89, but 80 to 89, you're starting to get in that best in class territory. If I'm looking to make a budget 2011 purchase, and I'm looking at the Alpha Foxtrot Romulus, and I'm looking at the Mac 9 comps, and all of these budget guns that are kind of running kind of $800 to $1,500, there's no way I'm looking in that space and I'm not considering the XP Pro comp. All right, that's it for this episode, fam. Until next time, as always, take care of one another and peace.